All right. Hello and welcome to episode 75 of the Rhody Rumble podcast. Today I'm joined by University of Rhode Island legend. He led the 1998 Rams to the Elite Eight, 1998 A-10 Player of the Year, 12-year NBA veteran, host of the Dad's Point of View podcast, Cuttino Mobley. Cat, thanks so much again for taking the time. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Let's correct that. I didn't lead him. I helped lead. Tyson Wheeler was was the guy, and I was a part of that situation. So, shouts out to Tyson, Antonio Reynolds Dean, and Preston Murphy, and Luther Clay, and Josh King, and all those guys. And rest in peace, John Bennett. He passed away. Guy on our team, David R. Babu, actually is my guy. So, we had some amazing guys on that team, man. But I was just one of those guys, and you know, um, life is good.
Yeah, for sure. I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of those guys, Preston Murphy, Tyson Wheeler. So I've heard about the teams. Obviously, I didn't live to experience it, but I'm excited to hear your point of view and your perspective of, playing on those teams and being at the University of Rhode Island during, arguably one of the best teams in history. So thank you again for taking the time. A question I love to start with, for all the guests that I have on is just what is your why or what motivates you?
I think what motivates me is just to become the best human I can be. I believe in, you know, I call life as a recycle. We all are recycled right now, and which you can see as a black man, right? 6'4", 6'5", whatever you want to call it. And I think the better you do now recycles to the next life you have. So I think that inspires me. It's just my own opinion. Right? I don't know life before, life after, but I know what I can control right now. And my job is to gain as much information and help as many people as possible. And while I'm doing that, be as understanding is what I teach my children. Be as understanding as you can, and work your hardest, right? And have fun doing it. So, when I met Tyson, I pushed him. And I made him believe that we were one of the best backcourts in the country. He thought I was crazy, but I believed it, and I believe that in people, in general, and just being your best version of yourself. So I think that's what motivates me, is just to be your best version. And if I can be able to inspire and help, and being a father now, it's my number one priority. I think that right there was a challenge in itself, right? Because, you may have a daughter, which I do. It's 9 years old, right? She's a female. I've never been a female, not in this lifetime. So I got to learn the situations, and, read as many books and ask as many powerful, intelligent, smart women that are out there to navigate throughout her life, and help my sons and a lot of my godsons and different kids that my sons bring around or I get to speak to become better human beings and better men within this society. So I think that's my why.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. I ask this question again to every guest that I've had on, and I always hear family and just, how important family is, how they teach you social skills that we need, a sense of security, sense of belonging, being that mentor, that father figure. Another thing about family is just to satisfy emotional needs, especially from such a young age. Family isn't always just your immediate family. I think you brought up, some good examples there, but sometimes it's your brothers or sisters on the court or on the field. So I think that's a really good answer. And then I think to go off of your immediate family, and you talk about being a father figure, children really rely on parents to provide care, that they need to be happy, healthy, grow up and develop well. So to have that motivation to be the best role model or influence for a young child is truly inspiring. Is that a big motivation as to why you started the podcast?
Yeah, man. Being a single dad, there's a lot of different situations that happen. I was raised by 4 parents. They were all amazing. They all had. We all, as human beings, have our flaws. But what I did see was a lot of love, a lot of caring, a lot of support. And for me, I mimic that. So sometimes when you grow up and you find a mate, and then for me, when you have children with other individuals, they may not come from that dynamic, and you find yourself trying to be a person that can help everyone. And some people don't want help. Some people don't like to be pushed. So my main focus is kids, because you can help kids have a chance in life. So with me having a daughter that's 9 and her friends, and then having a son that's 13, a son that's 22, all their friends are my family. They're my when you're conscious, I don't care what it is or not. When you're conscious, it's your responsibility. I think that's a big thing. And a lot of people say, well, it's not my responsibility. Well, if you're conscious, it is,
Mm.
right? Because the reason why, the thought came into your head is because God in the universe has given it to you. So, and with that being said, there's a responsibility by us as human beings, right? Let's think about slavery, right? You don't want nobody to be enslaved. So if you can be able to do something, whether you're white, Spanish, black, Asian, whatever it is, to be able to change that narrative, then we as a people should be able to do that because it came inside your head. Now, if you don't think that and you don't, I can't argue that part. But when something comes inside you, you have to act on it. And then I've tried my best to act on being a mentor, father, thought leader, since it came into my soul.
And it really gives you a purpose. It feels like, you have to guide your children and their friends, that you take in as your children or as your family, onto whatever path, whatever it is that they end up doing. Like, you talk about your childhood and how you had that, a similar, childhood growing up. I want to start from the beginning. You're originally from Philly, which I've always believed is a basketball city. How did your passion, or love for the game begin? Did you have someone that sort of pushed you to get better, or did it just happen over time?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're growing up with the Alvin Williams of the world who played for Toronto, played 19 years in NBA. Rasheed Wallace, played a numerous amount of years. Kobe Bryant, who played numerous. Aaron McKee, Eddie Jones, Rick Brunson. The list goes on. These guys we grew up around each other. We were all close. And then you have a supporting cast in your family. That some family members don't think you're going to the pros, and you didn't even know you're going to the pros, but just to become better, right? From high school to college to whether you get a successful job and you stay out of trouble. That in itself was inspiring for me. It's a very tricky thing. I can't speak on someone else's trials and tribulations, but what I can speak on is me taking bad situations and making them good ones. And then the silver lining behind all of those situations. It's always right. I forget, maybe it was Tom Hanks who was speaking this, and he was in the round table, and he says one phrase is this too shall pass, right? So whether it's good or bad, it will pass, right? So
Right.
it's about how balanced are you in the universe and how balanced are you in life. And for me, I try my best as much as bad or negative situations or so really good, overwhelming situations happen. You got to try your best to be as balanced as possible. So it's a practice. It's not something you just retain or that's not how it works. But being conscious in the moment helps you become more balanced as a person.
For sure. You ended up playing high school basketball. You took that passion, that motivation for basketball. You started in Philly and then went on to go up to Maine to play at prep school. Going up to New England, do you think that was a significant or major reason for your commitment to URI, just to shift gears a little bit?
I don't know if it was a major commitment for URI, but it's just me wanting to be better, right? Something I fell in love with. I love basketball. I was a boxer and a football player, and I fell in love with basketball. And how do I become better? Well, I got to challenge myself, right? I got to put myself in uncomfortable so I can be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Maine Maine made me a pro. Maine definitely made me a pro. Max Good is one of my favorite people. He was our head coach. He was super tough, but my high school coach prepared me for that. Mark Heimerdinger, right? So he was really tough and he was very detailed. It's same as my coach in Maine. So it was something where good luck is only when opportunity meets preparation. So the opportunity presented itself. Preparation was Mark Heimerdinger, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, for sure. I think I like to believe that everything happens for a reason and that, you're meant to go certain places and that sometimes you have to make sacrifices. I think a good quote that you just mentioned that you alluded to from Tom Hanks, this too shall pass. That's definitely something that I've thought a lot about over the last couple of years with the pandemic and just going through college at URI, not knowing. And right now I'm preparing for graduation, not knowing what's going to happen, working in the sports industry. Sometimes you have to move, you have to make sacrifices. So to hear you, bet on yourself almost and go up to Maine, a place that you probably, when you were a younger kid, did not think you'd be playing high school basketball at. It's just really inspiring to those people that are trying to make it pro or are trying to play at the Division I level that sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and like you said, have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable. So that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I tell my kids this all the time, right? It's like your actions will show what you want most. Super simple.
Yeah,
So you can tell somebody I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there. But at the end of the day, if you're not there, it's because you don't want it the most. It's not. It's
true.
not rocket science, right? So, um, you know, as much as it may hurt that individual's feelings, you have to understand at the moment it's just not for you. Or if it was, then it would happen, right? But at that moment, not saying it won't happen later on, but at that moment, it's just not. It's not for you.
Yeah, for sure. Transitioning to URI, obviously you went to Maine, you committed to the University of Rhode Island. You had Coach Jim Harrick behind you. Can you just talk about the kind of person that he was and the impact that he had on you when you were in college?
I mean, he was my oracle. Even to this day, he believed in me and believed in me really strongly. And when you believe in yourself, it's something different when someone else that doesn't, you didn't come from, believes in you and pushed you and motivated you and inspires you and puts you in position to not only believe in yourself but not doubt yourself, right? So that's a huge thing. He made me, whether I believed I was a pro or not, he made me believe that I believed I was a pro. Right? You can believe anything, and it could be foolish, but when someone else sees it in you, now that now the mind starts to trigger to the point where, oh wow, all I gotta do is I gotta do this, right? You tell a kid they're smart, and then you show them how to study, right? And then they get an A, like, wow, okay, just doing this, okay, I can get to that next level. Okay, cool, thanks, right? So he was that guy, and he's still that guy to this day, right? He's helped so many of us younger guys. James Harden, right? He had James Harden, the AAU team, and he made James a more complete individual, a more complete player, and he only had him for a summer, right? So, I love Coach. He's my oracle.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Sometimes you need that aha moment. Sometimes you need that person to just push you a little bit harder to kind of get there. You can accomplish it. You tell yourself that, but you just need, like you said, that mentor, the father figure, the coach, whoever it is in your life to really show you that you can accomplish the goals that you set out. I think that's so interesting because in my mind, a good coach provides the space and structure, for your reflection necessary for your learning and your growth. And they help you understand, what your values are and what where your actions differ from your values and your goals. I always say that a coach can help you reconnect with, what you love about life, whether that's basketball or, your work or anything. And it just seems like, Coach Harrick, I haven't had the opportunity to meet him or talk to him just yet, but it just seems like he was that type of person. So that's definitely nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, a coach, a mentor, even checking in with yourself helps you understand purpose comes before ego, right? Ego may get us to become a superstar, but what is your purpose behind that, right? LeBron James has a purpose. Kobe Bryant had a purpose, right? A lot of us have purposes, right? Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington. Your ego drives you to say, I can push through all this crazy stuff, but then being a philanthropist or, inspiring others, that the purpose, you start to learn your purpose. And it takes time to understand those things. Some get it when they're younger, but some, it may take a little time to understand that this is what I'm here for. And I think everyone is here to serve, right? So, once you get out of that egotistical kind of format, which is not a bad thing, especially how you use it, and you get into the purpose-driven kind of life, I think the path is a little more accepting, and we're a little more conscious of us as more of a human race in a society.
For sure. Moving along with you, Ryan, I'm just curious, what was it like to play alongside and run the backcourt? You alluded to them before, but Tyson Moore and Preston Murphy off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, Preston was a starter, right? He was a starter, and he was okay. Not saying he was okay with let's rephrase that. Okay with not starting, but Preston knew what was best for the team. Tyson was one of the best point guards in the country, right? So we had a backcourt that myself, Tyson, and Preston that can go up against anybody. I don't care if you were Kentucky. I don't care if you were. I don't care who you were.
Right.
We were skilled, we were smart, to play with those guys was a blessing for me because they helped me get to the pros. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? They're my brothers. I love them to death. I speak to Tyson a lot more. We have more of a connection, but I still love Preston.
Yeah, for sure. I got to ask about 1998. I'm sure you knew it was coming the regular season, and then we'll get into March. You averaged 17.2 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.6 steals, shot 48% on the year. You walk away with the A10 Player of the Year award in that year as well. And, I always find that recognition so interesting because it's only given to one player, but basketball is a team sport, like you talk about, with the help of Tyson and Preston. What did that honor mean to you? And, how did the team help you get to that honor? And then eventually we'll get into March and the success you had in the postseason.
I mean, it was huge, man, because I wasn't even on the honorable mention
Right.
going into that season. I was just a player, right? And it messes with your confidence a little bit because if you can contribute more, you can do more, and you're kind of pigeonholed at the moment because of whatever situation it was. But like I said, when Jim Harrick came in and he was telling like Tyson and Preston, like, listen, this is the guy that we want to be able to score, and then we'll all follow through with what's going on. And they're my brothers. There was no jealousy. There was no nothing. These guys, we got where we got because of a team effort. And it was huge because something that I studied, I'm using this analogy that I studied I passed the test, right? So I've been working my butt off in Philadelphia and in Rhode Island for years. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get rewarded for something I've been working my tail off for so many years to get that type of recognition. And, after that, it boosted my confidence and being able to work hard and see some type of results. Well, not just from myself, but from the universe, from universities, from colleges, from the conference, from all those different things. I mean, we all want that pat on the back, and that was a great pat on the back for me.
And I think getting that conference and national recognition obviously boosts morale within the team. Moving on to March of that year, you guys get the double bye in the conference tournament. You lose in the semis to Xavier, but then you come in as an 8th seed in the big dance. You knock off Murray State, Kansas, who had Paul Pierce, I believe, at the time, Valparaiso, and then it was a heartbreaker, obviously, to Stanford in the Elite Eight. But what do you remember from that tournament atmosphere and just how the team came together at that time?
Well, I mean, we was always together. We didn't knock off Murray State. We beat them. We knocked off Kansas, right? There's a difference, right? We were better than Murray State already. But it's this the university itself. When you win your first game and you're coming back home or whatever it is. The atmosphere, the electricity. It was amazing to feel, right? From the professors to the colleges, everybody was proud of you, right? That to me felt amazing, right? I wanted to keep doing that, right? So Tyson, Luther Clay, Antonio Reynolds Dean, Preston, Josh, all of us, we wanted to keep winning. We tried our best to keep winning. Circumstances, situations happen, and everybody can't win. It's only one champion, but we had fun, man, and I wouldn't mind reliving that one. Right, but with different results where we become a little more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. How does it feel knowing that, all these years later, you guys are still considered one of, if not the best team in Rhode Island history, program history?
I never really thought about it. I always thought we were the best, right? No disrespect to the older guys. I love them, Tommy Garrett's and the Kenny Greens and all those guys. And Abdul Fox, who raised me and when I was in college, and the Cordell Llewellyns and, Carlos Cofields and, Andrew Samuels, so many of those guys, that were amazing. Ibn Bakari. But, I think we're talented, man. We gelled and we had a mission. And, sometimes it's a break. I mean, we were up 11 with a minute and something to go. We were almost in the Final Four. So, like I said before, there's situations that happen. It's just like Chris Webber would playing against Duke, calls a timeout. They could have won it. You know what I mean? So you got to live with those things. But like my father used to say to me when I was younger, the same way you accept my yeses, you accept my nos, and that's the universe talking, right? So now what do you do from that? So it's all good.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. Last question on you, Orion, then moving on to the NBA and a few more questions just to wrap it up. But I have to ask, if there was a movie about the 1998 Elite Eight run for the Rhode Island Rams, who do you think would play you and who would play Coach Harrick?
The Coach Harrick would be Tom Hanks.
Okay.
I think who would play me? I don't know. I don't know. Michael B. Jordan. I don't know. I don't know if he can play ball. I don't. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, but I just don't know
I'm excited for
because
the
he's
movie.
a really good actor. And I was a crazy kid, when I was in college. You know what I mean? I had a lot of big personalities. I was the house mom. I'm cleaning clothes. I'm cooking. I'm doing all those things. And then I was a killer on the court. So, I
Yeah,
had a soft side, and then I had a domestic side, and then I had a side where, you know what I mean? I was put my hard hat on. So I don't know, but that'd be an interesting movie.
yeah, for sure. Real quick, I just thought of one. Where did you guys live on campus?
Graduate Village.
Oh, okay. Like
Mm-hmm.
the sophomore slum area, like near the dining
No,
halls?
be
Or
from university.
okay, on the main road.
Yeah, Graduate Village.
Gotcha. Okay. Moving on to the NBA, I just had to ask that last question. Moving on to the NBA, just a few more questions. Following college, you entered the NBA draft. What was that process like for you?
Moving on to the NBA. College NBA draft. First of all, super scary because you can't control anything but your play, and it's like the anticipation of death is worse than death itself, right? I don't know who's going to pick me, right? There's teams that say they're going to pick you. It's a business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Do they need you, right? Did you do anything wrong, right? When you were practicing and working out, it was so many things that's going through my head. I had confidence in myself. I did really well, but sometimes guys do well and they don't, perform. There was six guys drafted before me in the first round, and three guys in the first round, and then there was six guys that not drafted before me, but six guys that were playing ahead of me that had contracts, and I was a second rounder, so my contracts wasn't guaranteed until later on. So it was a little bit of nervousness because you can get cut at any time.
Right.
But again, working hard and believing in my craft and understanding the game and doing what I need to do to get the coaches to notice me and whatever I need to do, whether I had to play the point, which I never played before in my life, and or I had to play the two, or the three, or guard a big, So it's again, like I said before, Philadelphia prepared me for it, and the time came where I got to perform, but it was a scary moment, man. Once I got the hang of it, my confidence grew. It was a little bit of cockiness, a little bit of ego, but the purpose was to get better every single day.
Yeah, for sure. And you had that chip on your shoulder, going through the draft, knowing that you have something to prove as well. I think that's definitely inspiring too to, maybe some people that are going through that process right now or that are just wrapping up their college careers and maybe aren't making it into, past conference tournament and going to the dance. But towards the NBA, you're a longtime NBA vet, finishing your career. Just to read off a couple of stats: 11,964 points, 2,902 rebounds, 2,015 assists. You were a member of the 1999 NBA All-Rookie Second Team, and you played with the Houston Rockets, Orlando Magic, Sacramento Kings, and LA Clippers during your career. Obviously, a lot to read off there. To last that long in the NBA is something that a lot of people, wish they had. It's something you should definitely be proud of and take pride in, to get scouts and coaches to notice you. But, what is the biggest lesson that you learned during your time in the league that you could pass on to, a younger player who might be going through something like that right now and, entering the league?
Yeah, listen, everybody's circumstances, situations are different. Just if you love something, work at it. That's all, right? So, it's not so much of what you can get out of it, right? But what it gets out of you, and it builds your character, right? It helps you become a better human being, a better individual. Because like my kids, my daughter, she's 9 years old. And my son's 13. I have a 22-year-old son. They teach me as much as I teach them. right? Whether I'm impatient or whether I'm this or whether I'm that or whether I get more attentive, like all those different things happen. So it's the same thing, man. Basketball teaches you so much. Sports in general teaches you so much. And I'm very proud because, listen, not only am I one of the only 5,000 players that ever played in the NBA, when I played on my time, I was a star. I played well, right? So I was one of the guys that they were double teaming. So that made me feel a lot better also. And I was on, I worked for the Clippers, and, Matt Barnes, myself, and Craig Smith was on our job yesterday called Baller Vision. And, we were making a comment. Matt was like, Cap, you were the star. Matt, Craig and myself were role players. And not really thinking that, I'm like, wow, you know what? The teams counted on me to perform a certain way, right? So, I never thought of it like that, and then, you get to that point, it was like, wow, I worked really hard to get to a position where, even Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, one of my close friends, he put me in his book. That made me feel good. I mean, whatever he said, he still put me in there. Right. Kobe played against amazing players, and he still took the time to put me in that book. And I Mamba mentality, and I just it's very surreal to me, right? Because I'm just that kid from North Philadelphia that really believed in himself and the people that surround him, and I've always been like that as a person. So it's just a fun time in my life that unfortunately it lasts. It's still lasting.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of basketball and just sports in general. I've talked to a lot of, current and former Rhody players, people that played overseas, still playing overseas, some that played pro, but it just brings together a sense of community. And you mentioned a couple of names right there. I always thought Tyson Wheeler should have played a lot longer in the NBA. He sure as hell deserved it. But right off the bat, just one last question about the NBA and then, kind of wrapping it up here. Do you have any stories that stick out just from playing pro on or off the court? Maybe it was a road trip or something. And then also, who was the toughest player that you had to guard during your career and why?
You know what? Kobe had his, he was always tough, but, Rip Hamilton, Reggie Miller, Michael Redd, Tracy, of course, McGrady, those guys are tough to guard, right? But for me, the toughest guys were the John Stocktons or the Jason Kidds and the Gary Paytons and Nick Van Exels and Sam Cassell's, because they don't really need to score to win games. They get everybody else involved, and if I'm guarding them, I got to make it difficult for them, right? So they can see in back of me, right? They see the other 8 people. I'm working on trying to figure what they're doing out, right? So they were magicians in themselves, and that was hard for me to really understand, because when you have that ball, you're so powerful, right? And if you know what to do with it, even that much powerful. So those guys are amazing at what they did, and I'm blessed to call them friends to this day. And it's just been a blessing, man.
Yeah, to be the floor general and go up against some of those guys that you mentioned there. Do you have any stories about going up against any of them, or just anything when reflecting on your NBA career that just stands out, just real quick?
Yeah, you know what? One with John Stockton and Gary Payton, they were, people call John Stockton dirty, but he wasn't. He just worked hard. And then Gary Payton talked a lot, but he helped me. So both of those guys used to help me in pick and rolls. The pick and rolls coming, young fella, watch this one. Take that shot. Just for different things like that. So not too many stories as much. What's surreal to me, as a rookie, you have Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, and Hakeem Olajuwon as your vets. It's 3 of the top 50 to ever play the game, and actual, top, if not 1 or 2 or 3, arguably in their position ever to play the game. So I had that much knowledge, and I was, Hakeem didn't hang out as much, but Charles and Scotty had me hang with them when we would go on road, right? We go to dinner together. We just hang on a plane together. So that was fun for them to love me enough to let me hang with them as a rookie. So, it was always fun. I remember one time, it's one story I have where it was my first game ever playing regular season. It was against Golden State. And Charles has the ball on the left box and block, and they double team him, and I'm the guy at the top to receive the first pass. And they left me alone, and of course they guarded everybody else because I'm a rookie. Rookie's gonna miss it. I hit the game winner, and one of the, I don't know, 14 points, I don't know, 12, 14, I don't know, whatever it was, something like that. We win a game against Golden State. Now, the game previous to that was our first game ever. It was against the Lakers. I didn't play not one game, not 1 minute. So, at that time, I was okay with that because I didn't know what to do, right? What I'm supposed to act like I was supposed to play or whatever. You got Scottie Pippen. You got all these guys.
Yeah.
And Scott was a person that kind of, he was my, I guess my bullhorn. Just like cat needs to start kind of thing. But to go back to it, we went to the reporters and they asked Charles, did you know you were passing to the rookie? And he's like, if I knew I was passing that dummy, I wouldn't have passed it. Right. So it was just like that funny stuff. He was, he means well. I love him to this day. He loves me. But just different things like that, man. And you watch these guys on TV growing up, and then all of a sudden they become your peers. Right. It's like, this is crazy, So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I can imagine. 3 more questions for you, kind of coming full circle to Rhody, and then we'll wrap it up here. Again, I appreciate you taking the time today. When Lamar first hit campus, he redshirted in that senior year, and then we know what happened in '99, winning the A-10 at buzzer beater. What was it like when Lamar Odom, first came to Kingston? What did you think of him? And you still keep in touch with him to this day?
I don't keep in touch with him as much. He's really busy, and I'm busy, right, being a dad. But Lamar was he was electric, right? He was super talented, right? You have somebody 6'9" that was a point guard that can see the floor and can do everything. He's super unselfish. And he was just a joy, right? He just loved playing the game. He loved being around positive people. And him and I were really close when we were in college. So, I love him to this day. He's my guy. If he calls me or comes over the house, it'd be like it never ended. So I'm not saying it ended at all, but, he's busy, right? I'm busy, right? So, we have our lives, but we're brothers always.
Yeah, for sure. I just can't imagine watching you guys go at it, in practices in Keeney or wherever you guys would practice at the time. It must be fun. But two more questions.
He did something really. I knew he was the real deal when Vin Baker, who was an all-star from Milwaukee, came up because he was really close to Tyson Wheeler, and we were doing like just runs, and Lamar killed him. It was incredible how he did. I was looking like, wait, what's going on? Lamar had his day. It was the craziest thing, and that's what I knew Lamar was a pro. But yeah.
It's kind of one of those things, like when even at 19, 20, 21 years old, you kind of can see, into the future a little bit and see, all right, this guy's the real deal. He's going to go and play professionally and be one of the best. And he was. I mean, at least he only played 1 year at Rhody, but still talked about to this day. Obviously, we know what he did in that season as well, along with you and the year prior. But 2 more questions for you. Have you just kept up with the URI program at all? I'm not sure if you're checking in at all. I know they're in rebuild mode right now. First year coach Archie Miller. And can the fans expect to see you back on campus or in the Ryan Center in the near future?
Yeah, I was supposed to go back, but we had to reschedule the retired jersey. I had some stuff to do. Tyson had things to do. Antonio Reynolds Dean had things to do. But we're going to go back for sure. I haven't kept up with the team. I need to actually start keeping up with the team, Archie. And good luck to Archie. Hopefully we can get the team back on the winning streak.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be nice to kind of get a little glimpse of the Dan Hurley era, or even Jim Harrick, Tom Penders. I like to say that, the Rhody success comes in waves, 1988, 1998, 2018, so maybe we have something coming in the future, but in any year that ends in 8, but we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. Last question for you. Kat, do you just have a message to the Rhody faithful or, the Rhody fans who may be watching this interview at home?
Well, I mean, listen, I appreciate, the Rhody fans. We were kids playing, right, and just had a dream, and we wanted to make not only our family proud, but all the alums and everybody from Rhode Island proud. And I want them to be patient with the process because it's very competitive now with paying college students and NIL deals and all sorts of things. But just love the game and love the kids that's coming in because they're trying their best as well. And just support as much as you can and encourage as much as you can. Go Rhody.
Yeah, absolutely. Cuttino, thank you so much again for taking the time. Congrats on everything you've accomplished. I really enjoyed this conversation. And like you said, of course, go Rhody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it again.